Okay. So, Josh would like to go over word of wisdom, but before that, I want to say two things real quick. So, just as I've been working on finishing my post, which it's almost done, really, I think. Anyways, I've said
Nice.
that before though, but I really do think it's close. But while doing that, I was, studying the Exodus some because it kind of goes along with it. But anyways, but one thing I find interesting, let's talk about the Exodus just real briefly. When the Israelites left Egypt, they were happy. They're getting away from their taskmasters. They're, the honeymoon effect, right?
Right.
Mhm.
But then they go to the Red Sea, they get nervous. They forgot about all the miracles that God gave them, and they're freaking out again. God saves them again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, 3 days later, they're complaining,
Mm-hmm.
right? They didn't have water. And instead of going to Yahweh, they went to Moses, um, which is a shadow of the mighty strong one. But anyways, but they got water. Water. Oh, first let me say this. Water that they received was bitter. And there's
Mm-hmm.
multiple meanings that go on that. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm just going to just pretty surface on this part. But water is symbolic of revelation. Bitter can mean that you don't like it. What did Moses do to make it so
Yeah.
they liked it? He put a stick into it. Ezekiel 37, the two sticks coming together to get people to like the revelation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I wrote this in a post of mine, bishops or just Israel's, but the
Mm-hmm.
way that God's commandments and revelations are presented in these history scriptures is presented a way to help us understand why that revelation commandment is there, to make it easier to accept.
Mhm.
In like manner, it was a stick that was put in the water to make it so people now thought it was sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Interesting.
yeah.
That is
So,
very
but
interesting.
it kind of follows what happens. People wake up, they want the truth, right?
Right.
They start
Until they
looking
find out
into
what the
it, but
But
truth.
maybe, but yeah, but until maybe they find out what the truth entails, and then they're a little reticent. Then you got to put the stick on the water. So like, oh, it's not that bad.
well,
And then they move a little bit further.
I'm
And
more getting about that the revelation is bitter, but it was one that given to them
yes,
in the sticks, which is teaching the exact same thing, but in a context to help them understand why it's important,
right.
that helped them accept it. But anyways, that was something I saw. I thought I'd share. So
Pretty cool.
that was the one quick thought I want to share. Now, the other thing I want to share. So last week we did something on DNC 76, and which actually went up today because it takes time to work on the summaries. But in there, from the parable of the talents, I wasn't sure what the outer darkness was. Um, in fact, what I put in there was close, right? Because of the darkness and the little stars. But
Right.
Right.
I remembered after the recording, that section that represents the telestial glory is called the outer court, going along with the outer darkness.
Out of court. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
me, I
Not
see it
not in
differently.
the place of light. The holy and the holy of holies. This is the
Yeah,
place of light.
which would make explain the outer darkness part.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um,
Interesting.
so
Very interesting.
I wish I would have thought of it then, but anyways, I admitted on there there
Now
were
is
some
also
things.
good.
Oh yeah, I I I think if anybody watches the recording, they can see I've put some bit of thought into it, but I haven't figured everything out, and I admitted it there, right?
Right,
But
right.
um, anyways,
No, that's
I
very
know things.
interesting.
But
That's good.
that was something I thought about afterwards. I think supports the outer darkness, the outer court, and the light is inside the tabernacle.
Right.
right?
The menorah is in the holy place.
Yeah. So, which I think gives support for the outer darkness term, which growing up LDS, I mean, we tend to apply it to something where the sons of perditions go, which actually is false tradition because Alma 40 uses that term too, and it's not for the sons of perdition.
And I don't think that Doctrine and Covenants section 76 necessarily calls that place outer darkness.
I don't think it does, but let's double check real quick since we're on that subject.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Go to what Josh wanted, at least for a little bit for him. All right. But I don't think it does, but let's go
76.
find out for sure. Let's go search
Well, now I am
outer.
curious.
No,
Darkness.
no, doesn't have either one.
Interesting.
That makes me wonder where the church came up with
Where that came from? Yeah. Where
Well,
did
it's
that come from?
it's a misapplication. It's a misapplication of a principle in the Book of Mormon.
Well, yeah, so I know it's in Alma 40, but it's not being referred to what the LDS
But
church uses it for, but I can see how they're
Right.
twisting what
I was
it
going to
says.
say that's a different context, though.
Right,
Right.
but these people who claim Book of Mormon don't really know what it's saying, and they twist it.
Well,
But then they like to
that's made
teach
evident.
like they do.
That is made evident when they say that there is no Torah in the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, it's all over it. The people who say
Yeah.
that, they don't see it because they don't study Torah. It's that simple.
If you knew Torah, you
Torah,
would see it in the Book
If
of
you know
Mormon.
Torah, you will recognize Torah when you're seeing it.
Yeah.
When you're reading
And
it.
you also know Hebrews don't just come say I'm quoting Psalms 2.
No, they don't.
They
No.
just quote it. They don't
They
reference
go
it.
right into it. Yeah, they're just like, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to
it's-
take this. We're going to take this whole thing out of context and say that it means something that it don't mean because,
Anyways.
well, they're smart like that.
So here's outer darkness in Alma 40, but it's being applied to what is generally called prison, right?
Yeah, but
Right.
but that's referring to
But
spirits.
that's actually
That's
in the
referring to
same-
spirits.
Well, yeah,
But
this
also-
is people
but
who are not righteous that are, now in their waiting state till the
Right.
resurrection.
Right.
Go ahead.
Now this
Right.
actually backs up this definition of outer darkness that you have come across, because these are the people who are shut out from the light. They are not in the holy. Their spirits are not in the holy place.
You know what? Yeah, I see what you're saying because
Mhm.
these people in outer darkness are the third resurrection at the end of the millennium, which is what the telestial peopling, which goes with
Right.
parable of the talent.
Right.
Oh, you
But-
just made a better connection there.
But there is a misapplication here.
Oh yeah, the
because
LDS church
They
uses it incorrectly.
they purposefully gloss over the word spirits in the verse. This is a
Right.
verse about what happens prior to the
Oh.
resurrection.
So there's
LDS
on that point though, there's part that are only spirits that go where the LDS call that,
Mhm.
and there's a part that actually have physical bodies too, because the sons of perditions are those who came to earth and get resurrected and get sent there. So, but
Right.
some of it, most of I don't know what percentage, but the ones that
Does it actually call the place where the sons of perdition go outer darkness?
no,
No.
this is only
That's
dealing
why
with
we checked
those
it
that are
out in 70.
resurrected.
That's why I checked it out in 76.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what I thought. I didn't think that there was any particular place where they say that outer darkness is where the sons of perdition will be sent.
No,
No.
I don't know anywhere that actually specifically states that.
No, the
Right.
sons of
But
And
that's what the
that
LDS
was-
church
yeah,
teaches.
and that
No,
was
sons
my
of perdition will be stoned.
Yeah, sons of perditions will be stoned. So
Right.
in the Bible, hell
Yeah. Well, I mean,
is the center of
that's-
the earth.
that is the punishment that's prescribed. Yes.
Right, that's what Torah
Right.
states, and I
Right.
have recording on that. But that I never say that. Shameless plugs. But anyways,
And I have to believe. Yeah, I just That's a horrible misapplication of.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree. So maybe this is where they got it from. I don't know.
I'm sure that's where they got it from because this verse right here is most often quoted during the missionaries' lessons, or at least when I was on my mission. That was one that was used a lot to support that.
But I'm just going to tell you, there's nobody like our boys in the church for misapplying scripture. They love
actually, the Jews do it better. I'll say that. Jews
What's
do it
that?
better than
The
Oh,
Jews
nobody
like
does it better than the
scriptures
Jews.
better than Christians. But anyways,
Oh, Christians in general? Yeah.
Christians in general. Okay.
Oh yeah, the
Anyways.
whole they take rabbinic, and they take the rabbinical midrashic interpretation to a whole new level.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but I do like how you brought out Ben. I didn't catch that before. But this really supports the parable of the talents in that third category, because that's who's going right there, right?
It's called unification, a unification of the gospel principle.
I know what you're saying, but I don't like that label. So
Yeah, okay, well, find a better one, and I'll go with that.
well, it's the same gospel. I would say it's just unification sounds more universal, and that's a problem to me. But anyways,
yeah, well, I mean, like I said, find a better word, and I'll go with it.
Yeah, it's the same gospel.
Exactly. It's the same.
That's more than one word. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just splitting hairs.
Josh,
same.
Josh, you are about to be destroyed.
Okay. All right. So,
okay.
So anyways, I think that's a pretty good ending for the D&C 76 thought there. So yeah, it's right there.
Let's go on. Let's go on to the word of wisdom.
Yes, let's do that.
Before I say something that's even more blasphemous.
Yeah, please.
Blasphemous in whose eyes?
Exactly.
Well,
because Yeshua said he was God, which he was telling the truth, and the Jews said that was blasphemous, but it was actually the truth.
Exactly. Blasphemy, it seems, is often in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. Okay. So first, I'm gonna. So I'm just gonna share this one first. Okay.
That's another one that I got.
Oh, sure. We can talk about
problems
that.
With.
Oh yeah, we can. But I'm more.
You're looking for something?
Yeah.
And it's something to do with tithing of wine?
Yeah.
I like wine.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So.
Okay, Matt, calm down.
Speaking of word of wisdom, right? This one's just more to be funny and more to be serious. Okay.
Okay.
It's some of both. Okay. And I guess maybe next time we can talk about tithing some. But we are to pay a tithe of our wine partly by consuming it.
Oh, there you go.
There he goes, tithing away. Tithe.
So Deuteronomy 14:23. So in specific, this is talking about one of the high holidays. Okay.
Right.
But
right.
I do think the general principle does apply, because part of tithing, and then we can talk more about this other time, is to make sure that you have things that you want. Most churches nowadays say tithing is one thing. No, it's not. There's multiple applications. So we'll just leave it at that for now. Okay.
Right.
In fact, part of your tithing goal of this is to pay for your high holidays, festivals.
Right. Right.
So,
which makes sense. Yeah.
But anyways, Deuteronomy 14:23, and thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy Elohim in the place which he has chosen to place his name there. Now, some people will say there's only one place, but you'll never see anywhere in the scriptures it says only one place that he'll place his name. That is interpretation.
Which that statement there from Deuteronomy supports, in the place which he shall choose to place his name.
Yeah, it never says it's only.
So that automatically tells me it's not in any particular place.
Well,
It's
But,
just, it could be any place. It could be
But
multiple places.
the way that Hezekiah interpreted that was the temple in Jerusalem.
yeah, a lot of
That
people.
became
So anciently, there were actually multiple valid temples in Jerusalem. It wasn't just the one big one.
mhm.
But a lot of people don't want to talk about that history. They just want to say one place, and that's the scriptures never say that. They just say a place which is placed his name.
Yeah, that place which is dedicated to the Lord, basically.
Right. Yeah. Anyways,
Well, and it's interesting that it specifies here, place which he shall choose
mhm,
to place his name there, not a person, a
Right.
place which he shall choose to place his name there.
right. And in the coming days, I know at least two, and there probably will be more. But anyway, that's another
Right.
subject.
Right.
But I just wanted to put that out there.
Mhm.
The tithe of their corn and of thy wine, so the tithe, wine, and also of oil, and firstlings of thy herds and their flocks, that thou mayest learn to revere Yahweh thy Elohim always. Deuteronomy 14:26, which just kind of continues, and thou
Right.
shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thou so lustest after, for oxen, for sheep, or for wine. So this partly goes a little context here. Travel back then wasn't so easy. So if you had to travel to go to the high holiday at one of those
Right.
designated places, you could sell your stuff that you're going to take for it
Right.
for money. And then when you get there, you go and buy with your money the stuff that you want to now have to celebrate with. And that is
Okay.
a provision because traveling was much harder back then. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, you can still do it now. It's just with modern technology, it's easier to take whatever you want, right? But
Right.
But once you get at the place that's
Well,
designated,
with modern technology and currency being what it is, it's easy.
yeah. But once you get there, you can then use that what you sold for the money. Now you can use the money to go buy whatever your soul wants: oxen, sheep, wine, even strong drink.
Which is liquor.
Right. And
By
that's
the way.
distilled. And
Right.
anyways, for whatsoever thy soul desireth, and thou shalt eat, aka consume before Yahweh thy Elohim, and thou shalt rejoice, and thou and thine
And
household.
thine household.
So part of tithing is to consume wine, right here from Torah.
Mhm.
Okay, interesting, huh? So on a Torah
Yeah.
one, here's another Torah one that speaks wine. Now that was not a commandment to drink wine, right? Because if you
No.
don't drink wine, you don't have to do it. Because
No, they just said you can do it. You're right.
you can
Yeah.
do it. Now I'll show you a place in regard to word of wisdom type of applications where we're actually commanded to have wine for one of the high holidays. And it is first fruits. Now, hopefully I can find it
Yeah.
now that I've stated it, right?
First fruits.
Let's see. There we go. Okay. So Leviticus 23. You want to read 12, 13?
Sure.
Josh?
Sure. You shall offer that day when ye wave the sheaf and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor, and the drink offering thereof shall be of wine,
Wine.
the fourth part of an hin. See, I
So-
knew there was a reason why I liked wine. Anyways, no.
So, well, so
Interesting.
Joseph, let's see if I can find it since you bring that up.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh, you brought up earlier how wine was actually a natural antidepressant or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
is. Yes.
Where is
Um,
that?
Science, I can see if I can find it in notes, but hold on, let me find the one from
Okay.
Joseph Smith that you reminded me of. If someone sees Joseph Smith here, let me know. Because sometimes, oh, there we go. Okay. So here are some quotes from Joseph Smith. When we partook of some of the refreshments and our hearts were made glad with the fruit of the vine. That is wine.
Okay.
Fruit of the vine is wine.
Yes.
ENZ 59, therefore all things which come of the earth in the season thereof, and made of the benefit and the use of man, both to the pleasing eye and the gladdening of the heart. Now, so Joseph Smith got the wine gladdening the heart from Psalms. Let's see if I can find it in my notes.
Should be in there.
Oh, here we go. Psalms. Psalms
And
104.
wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart.
Wine is, so what makes the heart of man glad is symbolic of the atonement and joy.
Yep.
Let's make
And
this.
wine is symbolic for the
Wine
blood
is
that was
symbolic of the
shed
blood.
by Christ during the atonement.
Yeah. Yeah. And blood of the vine is the juice / blood from the grapes.
Right. Right.
And FYI, just another thing along that same type of imagery, sap is the blood of the tree, which is also healthy for you. Okay. So when Moses came down the mount, his face shined. Oil, symbolic of the law.
Yep.
Yes.
And bread to strengthen man's heart, because we're then consuming.
So
Bread has to represent the word, and that you're consuming it and making it part of you inside your innards. Anyways.
So basically, in the Old Testament, when they're anointing these guys with oil, that is symbolic of their place within the law.
It's them becoming to understand the law and to know the law, to have the law now part of them. That they've been
they're being assigned a specific task. A lot of these guys were anointed with oil to perform a specific task. So
But
it's
the
not,
task
to
that
my way of
they-
thinking, that says that it's not just coming to an understanding of Torah, but that is a specific anointing within Torah, or a specific responsibility that they're given within Torah.
So let's go look at those.
to
Let's look at some
perform.
examples. Okay, like David being anointed
Okay.
the king. To be a king,
Right.
you need to know Torah.
Yes, yes, I agree.
I'll be quiet.
Also, also the priest was anointed with oil.
And they have
Right,
to
and
know the law.
obviously, to be a priest, you need to at least have a loose affiliation with Torah, right?
You had to know. You had to know Torah and the law of Moses.
Right, you had to know both. Right.
Back then, you don't need law.
Yes. No, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
But so the king,
And that's what I was referring to, was like,
the king is the top governmental judge. And
correct.
to be a judge, guess what? You have to know Torah.
Yeah.
And also you have to know Torah to know how to direct your kingdom in the way that Yahweh wants it directed.
But that was another reason why Yahweh didn't want them to have kings, because kings are headstrong.
So I actually currently have mixed feelings on that. The actual verse says kings like the pagans.
Yes.
It
Yes,
doesn't necessarily say no
but
king,
because
okay,
but
Yeshua is the king. And if the
yes.
law actually states we can't have a king, he couldn't be the king.
I agree with that, but the reason that he didn't want them to have kings in the traditional sense is because it was easy for the children of Israel to fall into pagan ways, and they did it time and time again.
Oh yeah.
So now the kings that they selected, they put them in a pagan way.
So I see what you're saying, but the actual Torah text says king like them or the pagans. I don't remember the exact word, but it's not just that they don't have a king.
There actually is a provision. There actually are rules governing kings in
Mhm.
Torah.
Yeah,
In
there are. So,
Right.
which
No,
to
I'm
me
not
states you
arguing.
can have a king, which I think supports my
Well,
thing
no,
that I'm trying to bring
obviously,
out. It's like the pagans. It's a specific thing.
right.
Well-
It says like the heathen. It says like the heathen.
Oh, is it the heathen? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So
I'm bad.
The
Oh my
thing
No,
God.
you're not. It's just
The thing is,
no,
we
but that
have
was.
a
I think we're
in the-
saying the same thing. We're just saying it differently.
Well, I think I'm being more specific and making sure we say what the text actually states.
in the
Right.
Book of Mormon. In the Book of Mormon, there was a righteous branch raised up, and they had kings.
Yeah, King Mosiah was a righteous
Yeah.
king.
Nephi.
Nephi was a righteous king.
King Benjamin,
was a
righteous
right-
king.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't believe currently that Torah is against a king. It's because, but then if it was, Yeshua couldn't be our king. And that's definitely not the case. It's against kings like the heathens.
Right. And I
Because
and I
the
think I
heathens
stated
would-
that poorly. I think I may have stated that poorly,
the
but
heathen
that's what I was
of-
getting at. Yeah.
The heathen often raised their kings to the level of gods.
Yes.
Correct. And
Right.
we're not
And
supposed
that's
to do
what
that.
and that's what he wanted. That's what he was wanting to avoid, was the elevation of one man to that status. Because
Right. And to go along with that, during the millennium, Yeshua will be our king, and there is talk in prophecy that we'll have a prince also.
yes.
And
Yes.
a prince is associated with a king. So if you're not supposed to have a king, you wouldn't have a prince. But
Well, how can you have a prince if you don't have a king? That
right,
doesn't
that's what
make
I'm
sense.
saying.
Yeah.
Torah doesn't actually say you can't have a king. It's talking more against the type of a king.
Right, and that's what I was getting at. I may have stated it poorly, but that's what I was getting at.
That's fine. That's fine. And Ben rightly brought out there's laws that govern kings, which to me states you can have a king. If there's laws around it, you can have it, right?
You just have to meet the parameters. You have to meet those specific parameters as set
Correct.
forth in Torah. Right.
And the king cannot use his kingship to for his own betterment.
Right. Like
His
King
own
Solomon
aggrandizement,
did.
because now he's making himself nigh unto a god. Yes.
Mhm. Right. Okay. Anyways, so the main
Yeah.
thing
on.
here.
So interesting. Nice sidetrack though. I like it.
That was
Oh.
that was a pretty lovely squirrel.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, and somehow it got off of this. But
I don't
anyways,
know. Yeah. So
uh,
amazing where wine takes you, huh? No, anyways.
yeah, it must be affecting me. But anyways,
All right.
But here it
Anyways,
is.
word of wisdom.
here in Psalms
Yeah.
states that wine makes the heart glad.
Mhm.
Yes.
It relaxes you, and yes, it is a natural antidepressant. So is beer.
Yep.
So the distilled stuff, I wouldn't say that's the case. So alcohol naturally only gets to about 20%, give or take. Okay. To get it beyond that, man has to step in.
You have to chemically manipulate it.
Well, it doesn't have to be chemical. I mean, you can actually freezing can do it too. That's the simplest way.
Yeah.
Yep,
You
that's
can
actually
freeze the
simple.
distill.
Well,
simple.
that's
Or you
still
can boil.
technically that's still a chemical manipulation, but we won't.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
give you that.
Te-
I would call it more physical, but anyways, I see what you're getting at because it is changing states, right? And that's anyways.
Exactly. So it's still, to me, that's still a chemical manipulation.
So here's a side question. How many states are there? Is there 3 or more states? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
For what?
Just anything.
Which one? What do
Like
you
For
talk
water.
about?
For matter. For matter.
Matter.
Oh,
It's 4.
I would say it's
anyways.
probably more than 3.
It's 4. Plasma's the 4th that most people don't know
Ah,
about.
Yep.
Anyways,
Yep.
yeah. No,
I'm
I
just,
was like,
I'm
there's
just
got to be
being a
more than
smart
3.
ass.
I know there's more than 3.
Yeah, it's 4. Plasma. Anyways, so back to the subject at hand.
Nice squirrel again.
So, oh, here, let's do
Oh,
this.
wait.
Oh, did you see something you wanted to look at?
I did actually. It said
What?
the one that you got at look at this, 3rd Nephi. And when they had given unto the multitude, he also gave them wine to drink.
Oh, yeah.
And he
Yeah.
commanded them that they should give unto the multitude.
Yeah.
Jesus
I,
would be a
3rd Nephi 20.
yeah. So Alma 55, the righteous, were drinking wine too. Here, look. And many times did they attempt to minister of the wine to the Nephites, that they might destroy them with poison or with drunkenness. But behold, the Nephites were not slow to remember Yahweh their Elohim, meaning, they kept his commandments. In their time of affliction, they could not be taken by the snares. They would not partake of their wine, except, save they first given some to the Lamanite prisoners. Meaning, the Limhites prisoners were the testers, the food testers.
Yeah.
And they were cautious that no poison should be administered unto them, aka Lamanite food testers. For if there were wine would poison a Lamanite, it would poison a Nephite.
It's fair caught. Yeah.
And thus they did try all their liquors.
Oh,
So
but
that
they
was-
called it liquor, but they called it liquor.
Yeah, liquor, alcohol, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, but it
Interchangeable.
that's weird that they specify wine in the top and then liquors at the bottom, though.
So even
There's a
in English,
differentiation.
I disagree. So in English, if we say the same word multiple times within a paragraph, it sounds funny. That's how I take that.
It does. Yeah, it does.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Right.
because one of the definitions is liquor is wine's included in that, right?
It is. Yeah.
So here's another one I have handy just right here. 55:8. And when it was evening, Laman went to the guards who were over the Lamanites, and behold, they saw him coming, and they hailed him, but he saith unto them, fear not, behold, I am a Lamanite. Behold, we have escaped from the Nephites, and they sleep, and behold, we have taken their wine and brought it with us. So if the Nephites didn't drink wine, that wouldn't pass, right?
Right.
It wouldn't pass the muster.
Right.
Right.
Also, Limhi. This is an important one. So this is from King Brigham, right? What saved the Brighamites, the Limhites? Wine, which is symbolic of the atonement.
Yeah.
Wine that was capable of getting people drunk.
Right.
Right.
So I mean,
No, but I like you bring out that it's symbolic of the atonement, because really think about it. They were in bondage, which is symbolic of the bondage of not living Torah, of not being obedient, of sinning, right?
yeah.
Which it is possible.
And
which
by the power of the atonement, or the power of the wine that they administered to their captive, right? Or their captors, I should say, they were freed.
Right, because so this shows a double edge of wine. There's positive aspects to it, and there are negative aspects.
Yes.
And so the Lemhites were using in a positive way, but then the Lamanites used it in a negative way, and then they got drunken. So
right,
we just partook of the sacrament, okay? If you just drink wine straight, you'll get drunk. But if you take the bread, then the wine, you don't get drunk. Unless you drink too much wine, then you'll still get drunk, right? But it takes a lot more. But
well, because you have something to absorb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just
what I
in
found when I was gonna
go ahead, Ben.
what I found when I was gonna do it when I was gonna do an all-night binge party, eat a lot. Eat a lot while you're drinking.
Sure. And one thing I've noticed just myself, bread does much better at keeping the drunkenness away than anything else.
Yep.
Yes, it does. Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
I've actually kind of tested it on purpose, just out of curiosity. But guess what? Bread symbolizes the commandments.
Yeah.
The Limhites were somewhat keeping the commandments, right? They're, anyways, that's another story. But they were attempting to at this.
They were
point,
in
right?
process. They were in process of awaking and arising. Yes.
Correct.
Mhm.
And they actually did after, I would say after this, they did arise. Okay.
Yes.
But anyways,
Mhm.
which means they kept the commandments. So they had the bread, which keeps you from being drunkard. Where if you're not doing the commandments and you're just doing the wine, the joyous stuff,
Drinking to drink,
just
whatever.
Then you
Yeah.
become a
You're get
then you become a
drunkard.
drunkard of Ephraim.
right. Hey. But anyways,
Or you could be a drunkard of Judah.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, there's these verses. I don't think we need to read through it because I think we kind of know the story. But they didn't just make wine to give the
Mhm.
Lamanites.
No, it
They
was
were
an
they
extra
made some.
strong drink.
Yeah, you can. So I would say that's more up to 20% personally. But anyway,
Yeah, there's several different methods for making wine. Some make sweet wine, some make strong.
right.
Well, some make sweet wines too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Some make strong, some make sweet.
Right.
Well,
I have grown to prefer the
dry,
bitter,
there's
but
sweet, there's
Yeah.
they so instead of keeping some of the wine that they were originally for themselves, they gave extra to the Lamanites to get their drunkard so that they could escape.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's not that they weren't drinking it themselves. They were planning to drink what they gave the Lamanites, but then they came up with this plan. And these
Right.
were, in general, the Limhites at this point were in general righteous, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
That's another
Could agree with
interesting
that.
word of wisdom. Oh, actually, here's another one. Moroni 5, which Sacrament, since we just talked about that, ministry of the wine. Did I stutter? Wine.
You did just now, yeah.
Actually, I think your tongue caught on the wine.
And, oh wait,
No, but it's you're not seeing things there. It does say wine. Yes.
yeah, and then in the actual blessing, it's wine. And so it's
Mhm.
interesting to me that the LDS Church is so worried about these Aaronic priesthood blessings being word for word, but there's no revelation to change wine to water, which is what
Right.
they say every week. And
However,
along
there
with
was a miracle that changed water to wine.
yeah, there was. That was in the New Testament.
Yes, it was.
In fact,
It was technically the first recorded miracle.
right, and I think there's a couple reasons that goes into that. I think one reason why it was the first is because Moses' first miracle was turning water into blood, which wine is blood of the vine.
Right.
Blood of the wine, vine. Yeah.
Right.
But
That makes sense.
another thing on that miracle that Ben brought up, it was at a wedding. Right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
wedding's the second coming. So let's go look at Lee's to lead into that one subject a little bit.
There are people who intimate, and there are people who intimate that the wedding was his.
I don't believe it was, because his mother wouldn't have come to him to. He would have just
That's true.
gone and
I
fixed
think
it. rather than having the runner.
I think he was there to help celebrate
Okay.
the happy occasion. I don't necessarily I'm with Stephen. I don't necessarily think it was his wedding.
I think it was a
Well,
friend's. but
I think it was a close family friend.
I think it was a close family friend. I'm more along those lines. But either way, there was.
Just throwing out.
Wine.
We're just throwing out those false dichotomies and everything.
Oh,
Well, okay. Let's just say if it was Yeshua's wedding, it was bad timing because he was starting his mortal ministry. No,
Right.
I just that's not fair to the wife to do it.
Yeah.
Start your mortal ministry right after you have a wedding.
so
no.
by the way, honey, I'm gonna have to be gone all the time and preaching, and then I'm gonna be horribly murdered or destroyed. Yeah, and you're gonna get to watch it all.
Preaching is a war, and there's a
Yeah.
law in Torah that states after you're married, you can't go to war for a year.
Yep.
And so I think taking everything into context and things that Torah state, we can know that it wasn't Yeshua's wedding. But
Right.
that's some people say I'm reading into it. I don't think so, but power to them. But anyways,
Well,
hey,
actually, once again, it's that idea of projection. They're saying that you're reading into it, but nowhere does it say it's Christ's wedding.
Right.
right, it nowhere says that. And I
Well,
think,
and if it was Christ's wedding, he's the laziest groom ever.
mm,
They didn't make enough wine for the celebration, or he didn't
right,
have
he
enough
didn't
wine
plan for it.
for the celebration.
So it shows that he was bad at planning, which that's not Yeshua. We know that,
No.
right? So
Mhm.
I think there's enough, even just in the text, without knowing Torah, you could see that it's not his. But
It just
anyway,
doesn't make sense. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense.
So, but my reason bringing it's a wedding. Let's and the second coming is a wedding. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Uh, Kesley, you willing to read a little bit?
Okay.
Will you read this one?
Uh-huh. Oops. And also that a feast of fat things might be prepared for the poor, yea, a feast of fat things, of wine on the lees, well refined, that the earth may know that the mouths of the prophets shall not fail.
So this is
That thing
definitely
of wine on the lees, well refined. This is alcoholic wine.
yeah. Oh, let's go look at definition of lees. The grosser part of any liquor, which have settled on the bottom of the vessel, dregs,
Sediment.
sediment.
Yep.
The
That's
lees
lees
of
of
wine. This is wine, and this is talking about a high holiday here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And as we read some of these other ones, it'll become more obvious. Zach, you willing to read the next one?
Yep. Yep. Yo, this is wisdom in me. Wherefore marvel not, for the hour cometh that I will drink of the fruit of the vine with you
Which is wine,
on
right?
Right.
the earth, and with Moroni, whom I sent unto you to reveal the Book of Mormon, containing the fullness of my everlasting gospel, to whom I have come accused of the record of the stipulation.
So when Yeshua comes back, he's going to drink wine on the lees. Oh, wait a minute. When he comes back, it's tabernacles.
Yeah.
That's a wedding.
Yep.
And
So
he
let's,
says, yep.
I'm going to
He
read
says it right
Isaiah
there.
1, Joshua.
Sure. And in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on the lees well refined. Hey, he said it twice.
Yes,
Um,
but this is the verse which Doctrine and Covenants 58:8 is citing.
right. Without stating it, right? Because that's just,
Wait a minute. Nope, it didn't cite it because it didn't include a citation.
it's just, you're inferring too much.
Yeah, stop it.
Anyways,
No.
sorry.
You guys need to stop.
Hebrews
Well,
don't
I have
reference
no
Greek stuff.
I have no intention of saying that something is not stupid when it is.
Well, it's Greeks that have to reference. Hebrews
Yes, they have to
do
cover
their
everything.
study and they know where it's at. So,
Right.
All right, we got another one here. Luke 22, verse 18.
you want to read it?
I'll read it. For I say unto you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God shall come.
That was just before his death, right?
Right.
So,
But just remember, according to every Seventh-day Adventist ever made, that ever converted, that fruit of the vine is grape juice.
yeah, we can look at that in a minute if you want. But considering 22:18 goes with 25:6, and Isaiah
Right.
actually states lees, they don't know what they're talking about. In addition,
Though there was a
pasteurization didn't
process.
happen until like mid.
But there was a
1800s.
process for preserving grape juice, and it involved
Alcohol fermentation.
no,
So
it wasn't just fermentation. It was you basically
distillation.
you boiled it into a syrup,
Yes.
and then you would mix water with that syrup.
Right. It's fermentation and distillation. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so that sounds like so pasteurization didn't happen until mid 1800s. And what you're describing, I don't believe Hebrews did.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
I've read what I've read.
It'd be interesting to see.
Maybe
a link
they're
on
right,
that.
maybe they're wrong.
Well,
What's that?
If you
I
could
think I
send me a
did.
link
I
on
think
that.
I shared that. I think I shared the source with you on that a while ago.
Okay. Well, anyways,
It's not worth arguing about.
So anyway, just from reading the few verses that we've read so far, even in the Doctrine and Covenants, right? It's stating that the LDS current interpretation of the word of wisdom is bunk.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in fact,
Oh,
here.
totally.
So on addition, let's just kind of stick with Sacrament. I'll go back to Sacrament a little bit. Hold on.
Okay.
I don't want to minister. Where is it? I'm trying to find. Let me find the one I'm looking for. Oh, here we go. Okay. So, DNC 20, which is like Moroni 5, also states wine. Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
Now, some people will try to use DNC 27 to say, oh, not wine. Okay. So you want to let's read all the verses that deal with this context instead of just one and taking it out of context.
Oh, well, there's a concept.
You want to read it, Ben?
Sure. Wherefore a commandment I give unto you that ye shall not purchase wine, neither strong
Okay,
drink.
hold on real quick. I'm going to interrupt. Purchase wine.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
It's not used wine. It's not purchase wine.
Yeah, but the next verse goes into that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's the very next section. Neither strong drink of your enemies.
Yeah, that's another
Yep.
point.
And then it says,
Wherefore you shall not partake, that you shall partake
shall.
of none, except it is made new among you.
And so so people will use this new to be grape juice, but oh wait a minute, what is he just talking about? It's talking about wine.
right.
New wine that you made yourself.
Yeah, so they basically would have done sacrament with sweet wine then.
Yeah, because the new stuff is sweet.
Yep.
Yea, in this my Father's kingdom, which shall be built upon the earth, behold, this is wisdom in me, wherefore marvel not, for the hour cometh that I will drink of the fruit of the vine with you on the earth, and with Moroni, whom I have sent unto you to reveal the book of Mormon, containing the fullness of mine everlasting gospel, to whom I have committed the keys of the record of the stick of Ephraim. And you take a look at that, and now that ties back into...
That's part of the Lee's verse that we looked at a little bit ago, actually. But here, so people will just, read a little bit of 27 and say, look, not wine, but they're not reading it, and then they don't.
Well, they don't even read the entire verse.
Yeah, but
they don't read. They see shall not wine, and then they skip over the rest.
Yep. But guess what? I don't know about you, but we don't make our own water.
Yeah, no, we sure don't.
No, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to drink any. I wouldn't want to drink any water that I made.
Yeah. So I mean, this is just an example how they take it out of context. And on top of that, DNC 89 was given after DNC 27 historically, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And what does this one say? You want to read this one, Josh?
Sure. That inasmuch as any man drinketh wine or strong drink among you, behold, it is not good, neither meat in the sight of your Father, only in assembling yourselves together to God, to offer up your sacraments before him.
Okay, so first of all, this is saying there's a couple things here, but the main first thing, wine for the sacrament. Right?
Right.
Yep.
Now, the other thing that's going on here.
Unequivocal.
So in the New Testament, I forget where, and I don't have it handy in the notes right here. I need to add that, but Paul chewed out a group of new believers where they were coming together and drinking their wine and feasting before everybody got together to have the sacrament. So all the wine was gone, and they couldn't use it for the sacrament. This is the
now
same thing here.
They didn't have the emblems of the sacrament.
Right. That's the same thing here. It's saying
They weren't.
you're wasting your wine and just drinking it. Don't do that. Use the wine for the sacrament.
Right.
Because wine's fine to drink. If Joseph Smith took wine and said it was glad for the heart to weddings, this can't be saying that wine's not good for you. What it's saying is it's not good for you to drink all the wine before you have sacrament.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the same situation that was going on with Paul. Or
Right.
Yeah,
Paul
but
was
it-
condemning.
here's-
Probably
Like
better
now
way
we
to say
can't even do the sacrament because we don't have the emblems.
it. Right. That's what's going on in
Right.
that verse. And it's saying use wine for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which came after DNC 27, people try to use to say just use water.
Well, actually, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just read all those verses right there, 3 through 5. Yeah, you'll get a better understanding. Like actually read them.
Actually read them.
Right. Don't and
Word
comprehend.
for word. Word for
comprehend.
word.
And
Well,
comprehend.
Actually,
Turn off the apologist and just read the
they
scripture.
don't even read. If they even take their midrashic interpretation, thou shalt not whine. They do it. They whine incessantly. Sorry.
Oh, jeez.
I think Matt, I'm gonna have to shoot you for that.
Okay. All right.
Well,
No, that was actually quite clever. Yes,
I'm playing off of what Ben said.
I liked it. I thought it was funny.
that was quite clever. Yeah, no, that was quite clever.
Okay. So
Which is why he must be shot. He's too smart for me.
So let's on word. So there's lots of parts to the word of wisdom. Let's just kind of focus on the wine. But here's an interesting quote. Now you'll notice the stuff in yellow. The LDS Church makes it look like it's not there when they actually put it in their manuals. Okay. So Zach, you want to read it?
Then went to John P. Green's and paid him and another brother $200 and drank a glass of beer at Macer's. Yeah. Called at William Clayton's.
Now I'll read the part how the LDS Church likes to claim it was. Then went to John P. Green's and paid him another brother $200, called at William Clayton's. Oh, look at that.
Totally chop out that sentence.
And they didn't put the ellipsis to show that something's missing. They completely are hiding things, and they know it. That Joseph Smith drank beer. Now, interestingly enough, on that, let's look at verse 17 here. You want to read it real quick, Josh?
Sure. Nevertheless, wheat for man, and corn for the ox, and oats for the horse, and rye for the fowls, and for swine, and for all beasts of the field, and barley for all useful animals, and for mild drinks, as also other grains. So that's your meads, your ales, your beers,
right?
Your lagers.
And we can go look, but
well, yeah, meads are actually a combination of barley and honey.
Yeah. But barley is a grain.
fermentation.
Barley is a grain.
fermentation. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just
Right.
saying that meads are actually a combination of the fermentation of honey
Right.
with barley.
Well, and it does specifically name barley in the verse too. But anyway,
That's why mead is such an intoxicating drink.
Well, I think specifically beer, especially among beer makers, it's mild barley.
yep.
Yeah.
One of the definition, we can go, let's actually go to the dictionary instead of looking at my notes.
Mild, soft,
That's number 2.
not
Not
acrid,
yeah, oh, go ahead.
not acrid, pungent, corrosive or drastic, operating gently, not acrimonious, demulcent, mollifying, lenitive, assuasive, as a mild liquor, a mild cataplasm, and a mild cathartic or emetic.
So the big point is mild liquor.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, that's beer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beer. And look, Joseph Smith drank it.
Totally beer.
And
Yeah.
let's go check when Word of Wisdom was given. But that he drank beer June 1844. I'm pretty sure that's long after Word of Wisdom was given.
I'm pretty sure that was just over a month before he was shot.
Yeah, but
1833.
oh, you're a lot faster.
Word of Wisdom was given in 1833.
So that's over.
Eight-
That's like
89.
11 years after,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's plenty of time to get used to it and start following it, right?
Yeah, because it
Hmm.
was a commandment, right? Oh wait, in
Oh,
the
wait.
section it states specifically that it's not given by way of commandment.
Yeah,
Oh,
in fact.
and verse 5 is not complete without verse 6.
Oh, okay. Let me go back to that since you want to talk about that. Hold on.
Yeah.
Because I was going to share
This
something
whole
else.
thing
But,
about wine for the sacraments.
okay.
It is absolutely incomplete without verse 6. And inasmuch as
Oh.
any man drinketh wine or strong drink among you, behold, it is not good, neither meat in the sight of your Father, only in assembling yourselves together to offer up your sacraments. And behold, this should be wine, yea, pure wine of the grape or of the vine of your own make.
Yeah, I should add that to some of the notes. But yes, that does definitely clear up that 5 is saying wine for
It's
the
all
sacrament.
part of the same. It's all part of the same statement.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, so in here. So just so far we're only talking about alcohol, right? There's more to Word of Wisdom than alcohol.
Oh,
There's a lot
absolutely.
more. There's a
But-
lot more to the Word of Wisdom than alcohol.
But we've been kind of focusing on that. But guess what? There's 3 types of alcohol
Yep.
in the Word of Wisdom. There's wine,
Yep.
strong drink,
Beer.
which is distilled over 20%, and beer.
Right. Yep.
Now, the only one that's not for consuming is
Is the
strong drink,
strong drinks.
which is the distilled. And it actually states
Liquor.
that's for washing of the body.
Yeah, that's liquor.
That's actually, or for, in other words, for cleansing cuts and wounds.
Correct. And actually, Joseph Smith used whiskey before doing rebaptisms also.
Yeah. Yep.
So it has ordinance purposes also. So anyways,
Interesting.
I mean, we
I've done that
we-
actually. I
I
have.
mean, we don't do a little dabble of olive oil on the top of somebody's crown.
Yeah, your commentary is funny. I always wonder if what Bible you're reading.
No, I'm literally making fun of every single tradition that I used to hold.
I know, and I'm just heckling you for it.
Year and true. Oh, I defended that crap. I guess this is a part of my way of repenting, I guess.
Sure. You're teaching people and you're trying to make it obvious. That's fine. I'm not stopping you. I'm just heckling you back.
Yeah. So here we go. And again, tobacco is not for the body, neither for the belly, and is not good for man, but is an herb for bruises. In other words, it's meant to be a poultice.
Yep.
Yeah. So this one does. I mean, this does state Word of Wisdom does say
Specifically, yes.
don't smoke.
Well, and don't chew.
Don't chew.
Yeah.
Because the juice isn't
I-
meant for your belly.
Yeah, tobacco is actually meant to be fed to sick cattle and to be turned into poultices.
Yeah. It's not for chewing or smoking. But on that, since we're sidetracking, I guess, on other things, you won't find coffee or tea in here.
Oh,
You
Yep,
will.
all we have is the next verse, which says hot drinks are not for the body or belly.
so what does that mean?
Literal temperature hot.
Right.
Yeah. Like
So if you want to do cold brew, go for it.
Oh, yeah.
You can do warm, just not hot.
No,
Like
I
teas,
yeah,
I have it warm.
Not boiling hot. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do McDonald's hot.
So because you're gonna burn your throat anyways while you're
Hey,
drinking.
guys,
Yeah.
guys, let me tell you something. Do not, I repeat, do not drink bottled water that's been sitting in a hot car for more than 2 hours.
Ugh.
Bad things happen.
So let me show you something. So if the LDS Church used to think it was temperature, and I'll show you. Hold on.
Really? They used to think it was temperature.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I'm kind of wondering how they graduated to coffee and tea. Or was that just another power grab?
It's an outward sign. First off, it's an outward sign. It's an outward sign belying a lack of inward commitment.
Mhm.
Oh, here we go. It's this one. Okay. So, you want to read this one, Zach?
We are told and very plainly too that hot drinks, tea, coffee, chocolate.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Look at this. I'm a dork. I'm interrupting. Hot chocolate was used to be against their interpretation, and it gets better. Keep reading.
Oh, go. And all drinks of this kind are not good for man. We are also told that alcoholic drinks are not good, and that tobacco, when either smoked or chewed, is an evil. We are told that swine's flesh is not good.
Kosher. Okay, but that's not the big one I want to get to. But yeah, they used to teach kosher.
And that we should dispense with it. We are told that flesh of any kind is not suitable to man in the summertime, and not to be eaten sparingly in the winter.
And that's wrong, and we can get to that later. But anyways, they changed the comma that makes it say that. But keep going.
We must feed our children properly. We must not permit them to drink liquor or hot drinks or hot soups.
Okay, stop there. Hot soup used to be against the interpretation.
It's temperature. It really is simply temperature.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's temperature. Too
All
hot
right.
will cause your throat to have cancer. I mean, I'm making fun of them right now, but if it's too hot, anything.
Well, if it's too hot, it's bad. I mean, you're gonna get burned.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
too hot, it's
It's gonna
going to
cause
burn
damage to your body,
It's
like physical damage to your body.
You're gonna burn and scar your esophagus all the way down.
Oh yeah. I agree with it. And this is just kind of a fun quote to bring that out. That's all.
Yeah.
But you used to not drink hot chocolate or hot soups and go to the temple.
Yeah.
Or today, if you told someone
Dude,
that, they'd call you a liar, right?
Let me
Yep.
think. Let me think about whether or not I care about going to the temple.
I don't.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's somewhat facetious on my part.
Yeah.
If I have to think about whether I care about something, I don't care about it. Period.
Yeah.
No,
So
don't waste the
let-
effort.
let's go to the part about the meat sparingly. Hold on 1 minute.
Okay.
Don't eat like meat, because otherwise you get fat like meat. That's not eating sparingly.
So, before I do that, let's do so the Institute, not by commandment nor constraint. Now, the LDS Church constraints. Now, constraint means you force or you compel, forbear action, take away things if they don't do it, you take things away, right?
Mhm.
Oh, wait a
Bullshit.
minute. That's exactly what the LDS Church does. They constrain members to follow their false and changing interpretation. Because, Coke used to be against it too, and I have history on that.
Yep.
Anyways,
Coke also used to have cocaine in it.
well, I know, but this was after that.
There are small trace amounts, though. I mean, come on.
But here's
Small
the
trace
one.
amounts. It only makes you mildly insane.
No, it just makes you mildly happy. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so the LDS Church changed DNC
Added a
89.
comma.
They added a comma that changes the meaning of when you can eat meat. Okay, it changed it from you can eat meat all the time, sparingly, versus you only can have it sparingly in winter
Or famine.
or famine. And you can see that here.
Yeah, they inserted a comma right after used.
Yeah, and it changes the meaning.
Yep. Changes the whole meaning. Yeah.
In fact, and to do this, to support that, I did a post to try to help, because there's a lot of there's a lot of Brighamites that try to say don't eat meat because their false prophets have taught that in the past. And so I did this post I just shared with you to try to help them see the Book of Mormon shows that you eat meat sparingly all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as in my fashion, I have quite a few verses that shows that they ate meat when it was not winter or famine. They were eating meat
Right.
sparingly all the time.
Yeah, well, I think that the point is that meat isn't supposed to be the staple of your diet, but it's supposed to be something that is. There are certain nutrients that if you don't eat meat, you're not going to get them.
Oh, correct. Yeah, it should. I think United States and Argentina in general both eat meat too much. Also,
That's pretty much any country in the world nowadays, Stephen. It's not just Argentina and the United States.
Well,
Meat
China doesn't eat
has
it.
become a staple of most diets throughout the world. Most. I'm not going to say all, but most diets throughout the world, meat has become a staple.
Okay,
Meat
sure,
has
sure.
caused so many people to staple throughout the world.
Sure, and some of it's because they're eating unkosher. But anyways,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
So here, a verse in the New Testament. You want to read this one, Kesley? You're muted.
Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meats, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth.
Yes.
So not eating a meat is a doctrine of demons. And I believe
My question is, just because of the way this is all set up, is this a list of all the things that are wrong with them, including, or are these, okay, wait a minute, there's that semicolon which actually ties it to the last, which ties it to the first. Okay, I see it now.
okay,
Yep.
so I think you answered your own question, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay.
Just
All
by
right.
reading. Just by reading.
That's fine. That's why we're here. But one reason I believe not eating meats is a doctrine of demons is because we are commanded to partake of the lamb during Passover.
Right.
And that is flesh,
Mm-hmm.
which is symbolic of the sacrifice that Yeshua did for us.
That already is alluded to at the tail end of this verse, which says, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth.
I can see that. Yeah. Also, in Deuteronomy, it has laws about slaughtering animals. If something was not to be done, they wouldn't have laws governing it, right? They would just say,
Correct.
don't do it.
Mhm.
Also, here's another verse in the D&C 49 that's not as commonly known, but it also says the same thing. Don't abstain from meat. So I'll read this one. Okay. And whosoever forbiddeth to. Now, this is where I have the definition of to help give some more emphasis on. To include or and effect abstain from meats that men should not eat the same is not ordained of Elohim. For behold, the beasts of the fields and the fowls of the air, and that which cometh of earth is ordained for the use of man for food, for raiment, that he may have in abundance. God gave these animals to us for abundance.
Well, and it says right here quite clearly that whosoever forbids man to eat is not ordained of God.
Exactly.
Especially, well, this is another test. This is basically another. It's basically a similar test of discernment to what's recorded in Deuteronomy, where he's talking about if a man teaches you to worship after other gods, follow other things, follow other laws.
Right.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 13.
He's not ordained of God. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going along
If
with
he
that
tells
same
you not to obey Torah, he's not of God.
Yeah,
Yep,
I think
not
that's a good
ordained.
point that Ben just brought out, is how this is tying it back
Yeah.
to Torah.
That's
Yep.
pretty.
That's a
pretty
good thing.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, if you and so for those who do not believe that the Torah is the Torah is in the Doctrine and Covenants, it's because you either do not know Torah, or you have no eyes to see with, no ears to hear with, and no heart that is willing to understand.
Or you're nefarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nefarious. I like that word. That's a good
Yeah,
word.
go ahead, Zach. You want to say something?
So in the same section of, what was it, 49? Like you were saying, what was it called? Eating meats all the time sparingly.
Right.
In verse 21.
Oh, here, let me go switch. Hold on. $21, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will be unto the man that sheddeth blood, or that wasteth flesh, and have no need.
You shouldn't just kill animals to kill them for fun. It's for
Right.
food or for raiment.
This is actually a reiteration of what God said to Noah.
Yeah.
In Genesis, in JST Genesis chapter 9.
Okay, hold on. Let me get that up. Sorry, I didn't have Kindle prepared, so we have a little dead time. But we don't plan these things; it just happens naturally.
Yep.
Sometimes we have a little plan, but still it happens naturally. The discussion, right?
Right.
So 9 verse what?
Oh, sorry. I guess that's
Okay. This 9?
maybe that 9. Yep, here we go. Starting in verse 11. And surely blood shall not be shed, only for meat to save your lives. And the blood of every beast will I require your hand of your hands. Require at your hands. And whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for man shall not shed the blood of man.
Well.
Yeah. So
again, tying it back to Torah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what more to say on that. I think it's pretty.
There's really nothing else to say. Yes, we can eat meat sparingly, but we shouldn't.
Well,
But you should eat meat
the point
sparingly.
that I, the
That's what
point
I'm
that
saying. You
making,
should eat meat sparingly.
but the point that I'm making here is that all of this stuff in modern revelation is in Torah.
Right, and
Yes,
what
yes.
Ben's doing, he's tying it back to Torah.
Because while I talk a good line about some of these things not, some of these things not bothering me, when people say that the Spirit of God tells them that there is no Torah in the Book of Mormon or Doctrine and Covenants, that pisses me off, because they are not listening to the Spirit of God, and they say that they are. They're listening to a lying spirit.
Yeah, I think this could depend on the people, right? I think sometimes
I
it's
think
they
some
just
people,
they don't know any better.
deceived.
They
Yeah,
haven't
Right.
studied Torah, so they don't know it's there. But I
Right.
do agree that some are just nefarious and are liars,
Some are deceivers.
and
Some are
some are
deceivers, yeah.
deceived, and some are deceivers. So
Yeah.
I just want to be careful that we don't put everybody in the same box on that.
That's true.
Because-
There are deceivers and there are deceived.
Right, and some that just don't know any better yet.
Yeah.
Well, my
right.
goodness, we've all been in the position of the deceived at one point or another in our lives.
I
Every
agree.
single one of us here in this group has been there.
Oh yeah, I didn't keep Torah for most of my life at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
So, because
No,
I
I
was
mean, the record of my misdeeds is fairly public.
sure, and I've stated some publicly, and I've told others privately on when it's appropriate.
But the point,
It's
but the
just
point,
something that I choose not to focus on. That was
Mhm.
a different person altogether.
Yeah, but the point is that all of these things are reiterations of what God
Has already stated.
re-explanations of what God has already stated, the reason for this is because his mind and will do not change.
Oh.
This is how we can have faith in him. This is how we can develop that kind of faith that moves mountains,
Yes, but
because we know that the requirements do not change.
Oh wait,
no, they don't
actually,
change. But thank goodness that he keeps reiterating it, because that also shows his mercy and his love to us, because he knows we are forgetful in nature.
Yeah. So, Lectures on Faith teaches things don't change. Moroni 8:18, DNC,
Thank goodness they don't.
Joseph Fielding Smith, which I don't really care about, but anyways, it's there. Here's random stuff. That things don't
But he was a
alter.
prophet.
To who and for who. Anyways,
Oh, I was being very sarcastic.
Joseph Smith and other scriptures. Definitely, I have a lot of Book of Mormon ones there. Torah even states that. But anyways, it's all over the place.
yeah.
It doesn't change, right? So, just back on Word of Wisdom. This
Yeah.
one, let's see.
Strange.
Let me find one. Here, this one's interesting. So, Wilford Woodruff, and this is long after they voted to enforce their false interpretation, right?
Yep.
1897.
Long
I was
time after. Yeah.
quite restless all night, felt chilly,
Chilly.
took a little brandy. Oh wait, that's strong drink.
Yes,
What's
it
that?
is.
That's above.
And a cup of coffee.
Which I wonder why he wasn't sleeping. So alcohol can put you to sleep. Coffee will wake you up. So
Yep.
he just, anyways, he has lots of understanding here.
This is a cocktail of destruction right here.
And slept some before daylight until 9 a.m. So this is long after this is after they made alcohol a part of going to the temple, I believe, right?
But he's immune. He's immune to the laws of the church, because
he's had his second anointing, and therefore
he can do whatever he wants.
Oh, wait a
Anytime
minute.
because he's had his second anointing, as long as he doesn't kill kids.
Well,
He'll be
no,
okay.
innocent. It's kids aren't. That doesn't necessarily just refer to kids, but
Yeah.
anyways,
As long as he doesn't shed innocent blood.
There you
As
go.
long as he doesn't shed innocent blood, he's okay. A-okay. Sin doesn't exist outside
I
of
know,
that
but
realm anymore.
so when
Mhm.
part of a cult is that your leaders have different rules and regulations they have to abide by. Here's Wilford Woodruff showing signs of a cult.
Mhm.
Rules
Right.
for thee, none for me.
Sorry, say that again, Zach.
Rules for thee, none for me.
Oh yeah, that's a
Yep.
cult. Very
Yep.
well put. And anyways, so let's see what else. Oh, here's a funny one. So this one's funny because
Years.
of you know how the LDS Church fought against medical marijuana, right?
Yeah.
Here's James E. Talmage experimenting on himself with marijuana, not medically, just experimenting for the heck of it. You want to read this, Josh? This is some history
Sure.
from his journal.
Yeah. March 17th, 1884. Future Apostle James E. Talmage at Johns Hopkins University, oh, that's in Maryland, writes in his journal, March 17th, I have been engaged some time in the study of the effects of narcotics upon the system, i.e. studying the same theoretically only. Today, I found a gentleman who works in the same laboratory as I and who has for 2 years been addicted to the habit of eating hashish, oh gosh, or extract of cannabis indica, pot. He was very willing to give me any data from his own experience and gave me such. 5 days later, he includes himself as a subject by taking cannabis indica himself. March 22nd, 1884. James E. Talmage begins using hashish at Johns Hopkins University.
Who's using it again? I didn't understand
that guy. Yeah.
It's James E. Talmage.
Yeah. As my physiological
Aren't you so glad that Jesus is the Christ?
Yeah. Anyways, at Johns Hopkins University, as my physiological experiment of its effects, he takes 3 doses of 5 grains each every hour solid extract cannabis indica.
Oh, solid. It's not smoked.
Right. By April 6th, he is using 20 grains, and the effect was felt in a not very agreeable way. Nevertheless, he intends to vary the trial in the future. So he likes it, and he doesn't want it to stop. In other words, he's hooked. This is last reference in Talmage's diary to using narcotics. 4 months later, he becomes a member of Stake High Council. That's awesome. Word of wisdom. This being Saturday was the day I selected to study practically the effects of hashish. This evening, after work and all was over, I took at 3 doses each hour after the preceding. 5 grains solid extract cannabis indica. At this writing, whatever that is, at midnight.
At circa midnight.
Yeah, 5 hours since last dose. I have experienced no effect whatever. The effect is said to be widely different in different people. March 23rd, 1884. The day after he took 3 doses, 5 grains each of hashish, cannabis indica, James E. Talmage writes in his journal, Sunday, spent quietly. Have had no result to be noted of my physiological experiment yesterday. I do not feel inclined to try again until the end of next week. The realization of the effects of the drug are not desirable on working days. Oh, imagine that. April 5th, 1884. The evening, blank, blank, first opportunity which has presented itself, I attempted my experiment on the effects of hashish as referred to March 22nd. Took all 15 grains, no effect. Well, I mean, man, you're hooked. Obviously, there's not going to be effect.
He has to take so much. He had to take 15 grains and still felt nothing.
Well, do you see how he's been increasing it, right?
Right. He said he had to get up to 20 grains to feel anything, and then it was disagreeable.
Anyways, so I just find that interesting considering how they were going against medical marijuana, right?
Bad trip.
I mean, yeah, that sucks. That's just that annoys me.
Well, they're just full of contradictions and cultists. I can do what I say, not what I do, right?
Yeah.
South
So-
Carolina Scripture all about that.
Yeah, we
this
already
has
went
some
over
interesting
that.
stuff in it. But there's a lot there. Because I don't know how much longer you want to stay, so I'm trying to find some maybe quick
Well,
good stuff for
I'm
you.
actually gonna have to get off here in about the next couple of minutes because I gotta, even though it's Friday, I got a lot to get through tomorrow at work. So
Oh, so here's one thing.
Ooh.
On coffee, I just remembered. Here we.
okay.
Oh, okay. So this is not what I was thinking of, but
Wait.
so Joseph Smith had coffee. But anyways, so here's one from Brigham Young. If a person is weary, worn out, cast down, fainting, or dying, a brandy sling, a little wine, or a cup of tea is good to revive them. Do not throw these things away and say they must never be used. They are good to be used with judgment and prudence and discretion. President Brigham Young. But that's not the one I was thinking of. On coffee. There's one
But it
about
is a good evidence. It's a good example of how the doctrine does change.
oh yeah. And here and the pioneers, they took 1 pound of tea and coffee and 1 gallon of alcohol per person. On the pioneer trek. I'm trying to find the one with Ormus. Because this is I have a picture of it. Is it here? Sorry.
Oh no, it's where is it?
Oh, here. This one's funny. In 1934, Joseph.
Because he ate white bread.
Hmm.
Kick him out. No, not
Yeah,
kick him out.
That's
Just fellowship him.
crazy. Anyways,
Put baby in a corner.
yeah.
What I wouldn't. I don't know that I'd want to put baby in a corner. Baby might find something terrible to do on it.
Yeah. So I mean,
No, that's
Joseph
what
Smith drank
disfellowshipment is,
alcohol.
Ben. That's when they put the baby in a corner.
I'm not finding one that I'm trying to find, but anyways,
Joseph Smith's alcohol drinking habit. Well, I don't necessarily like the way they put that because then it makes him sound like an alcoholic.
well, he wasn't, but I mean, it's in LDS admits that he had a bar, right?
Right.
For a period of time. This is Brighamites putting a twist on things to correlate with what they're being taught to do now is what's going on. But see, they're admitting Joseph Smith drank, and this is after word of wisdom was given. Yet they love to say that Joseph Smith will keep what after this 116 plates were taken away, and he got the gold plates and the seer stones, Urim and Thummim back. That Joseph Smith has a quote that says, "I'll do what is right, no matter how many people follow me, except in this and that, and this and that and that, and we can go on, right?"
Right. Right.
And this is just one of many more examples of the contradictions. But anyways, I'm trying to find the one where here's where they used to say cola drinks was against the word of wisdom. And that actually got started, and I think it states it in the Mormon Think one that, these false prophets get these crazy ideas in their heads, and they think and they claim it's from Yahweh, and I think it was, I don't remember who, but one of the false prophets said, it's against the word of wisdom to drink cola, but then as
Yeah, I do
talked
remember.
about in,
I can't remember
think
who it
Mormon,
was. I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember exactly who it was either. I
let's
know
see.
one of them made a statement to that effect.
I'm not finding it right now, but I have somewhere in one of my notes that talks about how then Coke company came and talked to the prophet at the time and showed him it was not bad. So then he took away that statement, but a lot of people still hang on to it, right?
Right, right.
But BYU in the last couple of years is actually starting to sell Coke and Pepsi now. So
Yeah, but that's against the word of wisdom. Why are they doing this?
Well,
Oh wait, they support gay marriage now anyway, so it's whatever.
I think that one's not fully yet. It's getting there.
Oh, just give them another year or two. Don't worry, it'll be there.
Yeah, it'll get there fully at some point, but it's not fully yet.
No, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't even be partially.
I agree with you there, but I'm just saying that they do little at a time, right? Anyways, so if you need to go, this is probably a good
I
stopping point for word of wisdom stuff.
Yes.
Oh, one more on word of wisdom thing. I do want to
Okay.
share this, and I'll share where I have it, but we don't necessarily have to go find it. But if you think word of wisdom states you can't drink wine or have alcohol in any form, you can't eat bread.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Bread is alcoholic, and I have some stuff here that shows that from science.
Which
and
kind of
bakers.
sort of explains why it helps with the not getting drunk part.
Yeah. I do want to share one other thing. Here. So 17. Okay. Now that was, oh no, it's 19. So let me go. I don't have that here. So let's go.
Yeah, no, yeah, okay, I was gonna say.
Here. So the reason I started drinking was because I wanted this promise. So, and I believe it's come true. So we'll start with 18. All saints who remember and keep these sayings, wine for the sacrament, and beer is good for man.
Right.
Walking in obedience to these commandments shall receive health in the navel, marrow in the bones, and shall find wisdom and great treasures of knowledge, even hidden treasures, and shall run and not be weary, and shall walk and not faint. I believe part of the reason some of the things that Yahweh's given me is because I drink wine for the sacrament and I drink beer. I literally do believe that. Well, I mean, look right here. I just read it out of DNC 89, Word of Wisdom.
Yep.
And so, yeah, and if you eat the way that you're supposed to, and you drink the way you're supposed to, and if you rest the way that you're supposed to,
that opens your soul.
Yeah. Now, don't overdo it. Don't become it, because alcohol has good and bad to it. And some people overdo it and become continuous drunkards. Now,
right.
It's okay to get drunk occasionally. Okay. Noah got drunk.
Celebrations,
right?
for occasional celebrations, whatever, right? Yeah.
The problem is when you become a drunkard. And that's when you're like,
which is basically
addicted.
Alcohol. Yes.
Yeah, alcoholism, being addicted to it and needing it all the time. That's not good. That's a problem.
Yeah, and I've felt the same way for a very long time. I mean, I drink. I drink wine with the sacrament. I have a beer every now and then. I mean, it's not every day, but I do.
I right now I have about on average one wine a week for sacrament primarily, and one beer on occasion a week.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I do. I mean, I drink wine with the sacrament, and I might have a beer a week. It's like, yeah.
So. When I first started, I hated the taste of both. Actually, I did it because of that promise. I kept doing it because of the promise. That when I first started drinking beer, I would in Utah when I started, there was pop beers, what I would call flavored beers, right?
Oh yeah.
To get used to it. I had those for a while. Now I can just drink beer straight.
I think honestly, with regards to beer, drinking beer, how often you should do it, whether you should do it, that's something that you can gain personal revelation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
think-
the only one I
Yeah,
would
but-
kind of push more on is wine for sacrament.
Yeah, wine for
Well,
sacrament.
that
seems
is a
pretty-
And,
that is
and if
commanded.
anything, it could just be a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Right,
just
it's-
go with
and that
simple
does
or
seem,
whatever,
that
just
does seem pretty
whatever.
settled. But but I think that the beer, what have you, he says that it's good for you, but he also says that you
It's a word of
so
wisdom. It's not a commandment.
right,
right.
it's a word of
Correct.
wisdom. It's not a commandment, and the word of wisdom is meant for us to gain wisdom from by seeking
Right.
revelation on it.
Yes, I agree.
Sure. This is kind of like Psalms and Proverbs, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Um,
All right. Well, guys, I'm gonna have to go to bed. But this is a fascinating conversation, and I've had a really great time. I've actually stayed later than I normally do because it was
Sure.
just really fascinating. And
I think we could do some more, but I think we've hit some good high points for you to start thinking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, absolutely. So I appreciate it, and I shall see you all anon.
Okay. I'm just gonna pause for a minute.